today, you will have DPA, or Delegation of Procurement Authority, for all of the 4 GWACs that GSA represents. So what exactly is a GWAC? For those of you this is the first time you've experienced or have heard of the GWACs, it is a government-wide acquisition contract, and it's defined as a task or delivery order contract for information technology. So the key word here is IT services, information technology. We were established by one agency for government-wide use, and we're operated by an executive agency designation by OMB. We are not subject to the Economy Act. So why is a GWAC valuable to you? First of all, speed and cost. We've already have fully competed projects become task orders issued against the GWAC contract, and the procurement lead time, therefore, is drastically reduced. In addition, you have flexibility. So in that you have the ability to either do a direct order if you're through your contracting office, or you may use an assisted acquisition service. For example, GSA has an AAS, or an assisted acquisition service department that can support you. Finally, we have a wide variety of contracts available, one of those including cost. So not all of our GWACs carry the same opportunity or contract types, but there are, amongst the 4 GWACs, a variety of options to support your needs. Finally, we have a low fee at a 3/4 of 1% to be applied to the total price as billed, and it's billed to the government, but the payment is made by the contractor. We have worldwide coverage. In addition to that, we have highly qualified industry partners, and that really is important to our office. We spend a lot of time vetting those vendors or contractors to make sure that they can provide you the qualified service that you're looking for. We do a lot of customer research and studies to verify the qualifications and capabilities you need to do your job well, and that you're utilizing in today's time and current time. So we try to stay up to date with robust technology availabilities under the IT service contracts, or GWACs. Finally, the socioeconomic vehicles, we offer the small business credit for 3 of the GWACs. And so between the service-disabled veteran-owned businesses, you can receive the SDVOSB credit, the small business credit with the Alliant SB or Alliant Small Business, or with the 8A program, the STARS 2. Finally, and a really key factor is limited protestability. So we really hope that these value-add services you find allow GWACs becoming a great choice and a good tool in your toolbox. Going on to the program responsibilities. So what does our office provide you? We advise the customers, and so we spend a lot of time working with the proper use of training like this, getting out and meeting with the customers, understanding your needs, and then in addition to that, we work with the industry partners to make sure that our industry partners are successful with their marketing practices and are addressing the needs of our customer agencies. Finally, we perform risk mitigation and contractor oversight. So conducting pre-award scope reviews to assist our customers like yourself in verifying that the requirements in the scope of your project are adequate and meet the GWAC requirements. And then we monitor subcontractor performance. We manage the contract compliance, and we report annually to OMB. Finally, we complete basic contract closeouts. So how do you assess the GWAC? Stumbling on words. So with an interagency acquisition, or in this scenario, if HHS has an IT service need or project, we, as the servicing agency, can assist you with the GWAC, and so therefore we go into an interagency agreement. And moving forward, this is just determination of best practices of this procurement. It just needs to be included into your acquisition plan. So what are your options for accessing that GWAC? You can do a direct acquisition. So if you have your contracting office, they can directly place a task order on the GWAC of your choice, Or you can work with assisted acquisition group like our GSA assisted acquisition department that can assist you with that procurement need from cradle to grave. So what falls within the GWAC scope? Task orders must be customized to meet the full range of IT service solutions. So the key word here is IT services, and it is a total solution. Regardless of which GWAC is used, IT services-based solutions must be the ancillary non-IT components, though may fit within your total solution, but they must be determined as integral and necessary to accomplishing that IT solution. So what ancillary supports are we talking about? If you needed to add construction or training, or maybe there's some clerical, or maybe we're looking at equipment, ancillary equipment such as hardware and software, those things could be added to the total solution as long as the majority of that project is IT services. Telecommunications, wireless, and satellite products, those all could be included as part of the total solution as well. However, the sole purpose of this requirement may not be for commodity. Let me say that again, may not be for commodity. The primary purpose of your GWAC task order must be an IT service, and we are not in the business of doing leasing for real estate or personal property. IDIQs and blanket purchase agreements and later contracts are not permissible underneath the GWACs. Fair opportunity to be considered is required. And one of the great value adds that I believe our office can provide you is our pre-award scope review. So that's a free, though optional, service in which the scope review adds value to your team in the sense that you can submit us your SOW, or scope of work, and along with that, you can also add your IGE, or your interagency government estimate. And so by adding the IGE and the scope of work along with a form that you can find on our website, we can take that and you can submit your requirements of your project. Along with that, we as a team will take that and review your scope of work and the requirements of that project and be able to provide you a quick turnaround to be able to let you know if your project is a great fit for our GWACs. In addition to that, we do suggest and provide you a highlight of questions in a Word document format that we ask you to fill in, and that can give us indication on what GWAC you are already thinking about, and then we can give you guidance from there. In order to submit those, you just submit those to the two websites that are provided. So if you're looking for one of the small business GWACs, you can submit it to the small business GWAC at sowreview@gsa.gov. Or for the larger GWAC or Alliant, you submit it to Alliant sowreview@gsa.gov. So now we're going to move into ordering, and I am going to introduce Jana Babcock, our contracting officer, to be able to explain a little bit more about that. Jana.
Thank you, Kelly. Hi, everyone. I'm Jana Babcock, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about GWAC ordering. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is fair opportunity, and Kelly mentioned it earlier. All of the projects against the GWACs require fair opportunity unless you have an exception to fair opportunity. Those are listed in FAR 16505, and they're the usual kinds of exceptions like urgency, unique capability, a statute expressly authorized, or if you're doing a set-aside. Another exception to that would be if you're doing something under the competitive threshold on 8A Stars 2. Now that competitive threshold is, of course, $4 million. So if you are doing an exception to fair opportunity, you would need to do your written justification and approval for that exception, and you need to post that exception in accordance with the FAR requirements and your agency requirements. And if you're doing the exception that's a sole source for up to the $4 million for the threshold for 8A Stars 2, that does not have a justification, so you don't have to post that. So the posting requirements are that you have to, if it's over $150,000, the simplified acquisition threshold, you would need to post that in the FedBizOpps. So for ordering, the ordering contracting officer, which would be the person with the delegation, has broad discretion in developing how they want to place their order. They do need to provide each contractor the fair opportunity to be considered unless they're doing an exception or it's under the $4 million, but you can use a streamlined ordering method, or you can do a full FAR Part 15.3 source selection approach if you would like. You can also use oral proposals, and you can use a multi-phase approach if you want. So the 8A Stars 2 allows for that directed ordering up to the $4 million. You would just issue that RFQ to the industry partner you're doing your project with. Also, there's some additional information in the FAR for projects that are exceeding $5.5 million. Those are usual kind of criteria that you would use anyway, like a notice of the order that includes a clear statement, a reasonable response period with a longer response period if you have a more intricate project. Disclose those factors and sub-factors that are included, including price. And you need to always do a best value basis written determination of who you're awarding to. You also need to offer an opportunity for a post-award debriefing as long as the vendor asks for the debriefing in a timely fashion. Also, when you're ordering, you need to add clauses at the task order level that are needed, but the clauses from the basic contract do flow down to the order level. You can add additional FAR clauses if they are needed, or your agency clauses, of course, and then tailor the clauses that need tailoring. Consent to subcontract. I wanted to mention we did not vet subcontractors at the contract level, so we just don't have a requirement to do that. The contractors must comply with the FAR 52244-2, and that's a FAR clause that's in the contract. So regarding cost or pricing for all of the orders, that always must be evaluated and be determined fair and reasonable at the task order level. You can use those 15.4 policies, and if there's adequate price competition, you can always use the price competition as your price analysis method. And ordering COs really shouldn't be obtaining certified cost or pricing data, but if you need some cost or pricing data to justify a price, you could always get some. It just wouldn't be able to be certified. For cost reimbursement tasks, that would be on Alliant or Alliant Small Business only. The other small business contracts don't allow cost. You need to make sure you do cost allowability, allocability, and realism per the FAR. For time and materials and labor hour tasks, the labor rates, the labor categories are provided in the contract. For example, VETS GWAC has 98 labor categories, and they're for within CONUS, and for time and materials and labor hour type tasks only. If you're doing a fixed price task, you wouldn't use those time and material and labor hour ceilings. However, you could use that pricing to help determine your independent government estimate. No labor rates are provided or in the contract for OCONUS requirements, but you could still use the vehicle for OCONUS projects. If you need to deviate from the established hourly rates for some reason, this would not be common, but the ordering CO is authorized to establish a different hourly rate as long as you can justify it. Perhaps it's based on a geographic location or a security clearance or something like that. And contractors would have to explain in their proposals if they were going to exceed those hourly rates. You can also add unique professional skills. You would put a new labor category for a time and materials or labor hour task in your performance work statement that you needed that additional labor category, and then a contractor could also propose that, and then you could accept it or not accept it on the time and materials and labor hour task. So some tools for ordering offices are available on these websites listed here. Those are the shortcut pages to our websites. They would, you could also find it if you do an internet search. For example, if you want to search for the VETS GWAC, you could put in your internet search VETS GWAC and it would come right up. So eBuy is a good online request tool to use for your project, IT service project. You would put it out in eBuy against the contract vehicle that you wanted to use. The RFQ would be handled electronically. The proposals would come back to you in eBuy, and you wouldn't have to hold that inside your email. It ensures transmittal of the requirements to the industry partners in the pool. If you're for example, using VETS Functional Area 1, it would send it all to VETS Functional Area 1 vendors. Also, on our website, there's a full contract copy available, an ordering guide, some procurement guidance, and the ceiling pricing and the labor categories for the labor or time and material hour tasks. And there's also a GWAC dashboard there to help you do some market research. An additional ordering contracting officer tool we have now is called the Acquisition Gateway. The Acquisition Gateway is a new GSA resource, and it provides accurate and useful information regarding different contract vehicles, and the GWACs are located in the IT services hallway. So there's also an IT security hallway that we are also involved in. You can do some keyword searches there and use a Solution Finders tool. Here's how that Acquisition Gateway looks when you first open it up. You can look in the different hallways. You can see them on the left side of the screen, and use some keywords to find information. There's many different contract vehicles there. So now we're going to go into some basic contract information with Lori Jennings.
Good afternoon. As mentioned, my name is Lori Jennings, and I'm with the Small Business GWAC Center in Kansas City, Missouri. My intent for the rest of this presentation is to provide you with an overview of our contracts, and then provide you with access to some of our e-tools that you can access at any time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on our website. The first contract we're going to discuss today is the 8A Stars II contract. 8A Stars II is a set-aside contract for 8A firms as designated by SBA. The contract has 4 functional areas, which are based on NAICS codes, and 2 constellations or tiers, which allows access to industry partners who have additional industry credentials. It's a 5-year base with a 5-year option. We're actually getting ready to exercise that option this August, and as that continues throughout, will end in 2021, but performance can continue through August of 2024. So a long-term solution for your task order requirements for IT services. Contract types in the 8A Stars II GWAC include fixed price, time and materials, and labor hour. It does not include cost type reimbursement contracting. We mentioned this on several of our slides. However, we want to make sure that these small business GWAC contracts are not pass-through contracts. So we do monitor subcontracting at the master contract level and encourage you to do that at the task order level as well. Some of the features of the 8A Stars II GWAC, as I mentioned, the second tier or Constellation 2 provides access to industry partners who have either a CMMI Level 2+, either services or development, or an ISO 9001-2000 or 2008 credential. When we did market research for the 8A Stars II GWAC, those 2 designations were expressed by our contracting officers as things that they're looking for when working with 8A companies in the IT services arena. When using the 8A Stars II contract, socioeconomic credit in the form of 8A and other socioeconomic credits that a particular industry partner has would be available to your agency. 8A Stars II has the unique feature of the ability to do directed task order awards up to $4 million, including options. So essentially, 8A Stars II allows you to select one vendor, send them the RFP, review their proposal, and make award without competition, or even the need to get SBA approval, as we receive that at the master contract level. There are 580 vendors on the 8A Stars II GWAC, and that's across all 4 functional areas and 2 constellations. Just to let you know, there's an average of 5.2 proposals on the 8A Stars II GWAC. Again, that number can vary based on your requirements and complexities. The 4 functional areas of the 8A Stars II GWAC include 541 and 511, 512, 513, and 519, all NAICS codes which are associated with IT services. For those of you who are visual and like to see a slide exactly demonstrating the 8A Stars II functional areas based on NAICS codes and the 2 constellations, this slide is available to you. Again, Constellation 2 includes those vendors who have a specific industry credential in that CMMI Level 2+, or the ISO 9001-2000 or 2008. The only time you would access Constellation 2 is if you do have a specific industry credential requirement. We'll now move on to the VETS GWAC. The VETS GWAC is a set-aside contract for service-disabled, veteran-owned small businesses. It has two functional areas. It does not have specific NAICS codes directed to a functional area. However, there are several NAICS codes which are listed on this slide which apply to the VETS GWAC. The program ceiling for the VETS GWAC is $5 billion, and that includes all task orders issued on the contract. And it has a 5-year base with a 5-year option. We are currently in the 5-year option period, so tasks can actually be issued on the contract through February of 2017, with those task performance completing through February of 2020. Contract types include fixed price, time and materials, and labor hour. There are no minimum or maximum order thresholds on the VETS GWAC. And again, as I mentioned before, limitations on subcontracting. We want to make sure that these are not pass-through contracts and that the small businesses performing on our small business GWACs are doing the majority of the work on the contract. So when using the VETS GWAC, you will receive SDVOSB credit for those contractors that you use, as well as any other socioeconomic credit designations they have as well. VETS is actually designed and coordinated with the Presidential Executive Order of 13360, which designated GSA to operate and manage the VETS GWAC. When using the VETS GWAC, the service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses have some flexibility when doing subcontracting. If they subcontract to another SDVOSB, they're able to count that as their prime work. So it does encourage partnering with service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses on the VETS GWAC. A manageable number of proposals is expected on the VETS GWAC. Typically, the average number is approximately 4. We'll now move on to the Alliant and Alliant Small Business GWACs. Alliant and Alliant Small Business essentially have the same scope of work, again for IT services. The general primary NAICS code for the Alliant and Alliant Small Business GWACs is 541512. However, it does include other NAICS codes. It has a 5-year base with a 5-year option period. We are currently in the 5-year option period now, which is 2014 to 2019, although the specific dates vary between Alliant and Alliant Small Business. And actually, task orders can continue 5 years after that for performance. So we're looking at a solution out again through 2024. The Alliant and Alliant Small Business GWACs allow for cost reimbursement type contracting, along with fixed price, time and materials, and labor hour. Again, they are the only 2 GWACs that allow for cost type contracting at this time. When we talk about subcontracting for our small business GWACs, of course, again, monitoring that at the master contract level for the Alliant Small Business. And when we talk about the Alliant, which is generally other than small businesses, we're talking about them having a subcontracting plan to ensure that they're providing opportunities to participate to small businesses. We talk about subcontractors in the small business GWAC, again on Alliant and Alliant Small Business. We do not evaluate the subcontractors, which does allow the prime contractors on the contract to subcontract as needed for a specific project. On the Alliant and Alliant Small Business GWACs, we have 58 contract holders on Alliant and 68 contractors on the Alliant Small Business GWAC. The average number of proposals on Alliant is 3.45, and the average number is 4.2 on Alliant Small Business. Again, the scope of all of our GWACs are IT services. However, Alliant and Alliant Small Business are aligned with DODIA and FIA, or Federal Enterprise Architecture, which provides a design for IT services for federal agency requirements. Moving on to new GSA GWACs, just to let you all know what we have working within our office. We held a STARS 2 open season last summer so that we may add additional firms to the 8A STARS 2 GWAC and are preparing and finalizing that process currently. We have Alliant 2 and Alliant 2 Small Business, as we're planning to release that solicitation next month, pending some final approvals. And the VETS 2 GWAC actually was put out for solicitation last month on FedBizOps. So we're definitely working towards our next generation of GWAC contracts to be able to provide those to our users, federal agencies. We'll now do a short demonstration of the GSA GWAC websites and some e-tools that we have available to contracting officers such as yourself. This screenshot is a sample of our Alliant government-wide acquisition page. On the left-hand side, underneath the name of the contract, you will see sections for frequently asked questions, industry partners, an ordering guide and contract library, and of course the ceiling pricing that's available for you to review for each of our contractors. Each of our websites are generally designed the exact same way, so what you see on the screen would apply then to Alliant Small Business, VETS, and the 8A Stars 2 GWAC InDesign. This is a screenshot of the ordering guide and document library page I just mentioned, but it does allow you to access additional documents that would be helpful for you in planning purposes. The ordering guide, which walks through step of how to place an order on the GWAC program and provides some streamlined ordering guidance. And we also have a copy of the full contract. So for each of our individual GWACs, you can view all the contract terms, conditions, and clauses for that particular GWAC. The government-wide acquisition contracts provide a dashboard for you to review. The dashboard actually is very useful in providing information on the use of the GSA GWAC programs. The next slide is actually just a screenshot of that program, but you can look at the data by agency, by industry partner, or even build a data feed for yourself if you want to look at data for the sales on the 8A Stars 2 GWAC, or VETS GWAC, Alliant Small Business, or Alliant. So in summary, the GSA GWAC program provides IT services in a comprehensive IT scope. We provide a premier pool of contractors who've gone through a vetting process in order to be awarded a contract on our GSA GWAC program. Pre-competed, flexible, and easy-to-use contracts, especially for the 8A Stars 2 GWAC, which does allow for directed ordering up to $4 million. A full spectrum of contract types for fixed price, time and material, labor hour, and of course our Alliant and Alliant Small Business GWACs provide cost-type reimbursement contracting. Socioeconomic credit is available when using our small business GWACs. There's limited protestability on the GSA GWAC program, up to $10 million. And of course, you have the access to our team within the GSA GWAC program for contracting officers and business development associates who can help you with upcoming requirements. If you'd like us to perform a free scope review or help you with a capability statement request, we would be happy to do so. So the next steps, if you are a warranted contracting officer who would like to request your delegation of procurement authority, and essentially that's a letter from our contracting officer to you saying that you have completed this training and you have now been trained in order to issue a task order award, you can go to gsa.gov/GWACs, and under the heading on the right-hand side there's a link that says Request Your Delegation of Procurement Authority. Once you fill this out and submit it, it typically takes between 24 to 72 hours to get you a response back. And this is just a screenshot of that exact form you'll fill out using your name, agency, email address, and then certify that you are a warranted contracting officer who has taken training with us. We'll get that back to you very quickly through email with a memorandum of agreement from our contracting officers indicating you are now capable of issuing task orders on the contract. This is our last slide, but it does provide contact information for our team, including our inboxes if you would like to email us or have another question as we conclude the session today and would like to reach out to us. We would be happy to hear from you and discuss potential requirements and how we may assist. At this time, I will now turn this over to Teresa Lewis for questions and answers.
Kelly, fantastic. So let me just say to everyone who's watching today that this has been fabulous as always. We always love having GSA here and providing the training. So let me again just thank you on behalf of the department. We truly appreciate everything, all of the nuggets, golden nuggets on the GWAC program that you all have provided. So thank you very much, and I'm so grateful for that. So let me queue up the questions and see what we have. Let me just say, while everyone is waiting for the additional questions, let me just let you know that the slides will be made available, will be emailed to each of you. Unfortunately, you're not able to download them, but we will email them to everyone that's registered. So let's see, they have a couple of questions already, and then I'll ask a few questions later as well. So training materials that are attached do not match what you are seeing, and you're absolutely correct. there was a computer error problem, but as I stated, we will email you a copy of the slides so that you will have them for your files for everyone that is registered. So, will the slides be available? The answer is yes. I've just answered that. And so all three questions have to do with the slides, guys. So let's see if there are any other questions. So while we're waiting for that to happen, I actually have a couple of questions that I'd like to ask myself. So regarding the flow down of the clauses, do the subcontracting clauses flow down?
There are some subcontracting clauses that do flow down. There are some that would not, but there is that clause in there about the commercial item subcontracting, and those clauses would flow down. Okay, so as far as you don't evaluate the subcontractor, so that means then that the contracting officer is the individual who is responsible for coordinating with that prime, or does that prime still have that responsibility to work with and determine who their subs are? The prime has that responsibility. Yeah, the contracting officer would not be doing that. The prime is responsible for the overall task and would be responsible for getting their subs or whichever ones they want. Okay, fantastic. All right, so here's another question. Will we receive a certificate for the training? So the answer is yes. If you go to the top of your screen, you will see a place for you to complete the survey. Once you complete the survey, you will then, and it's literally the second row after small businesses are the heart of the economy. You'll see registration, live webcast, live questions, and webcast survey. Once you complete the webcast survey, then you will receive your certificate and you can provide it to your ACO for inclusion in your training file. All right, so here's the question. When will the gateway start to offer scientific services such as labor categories and scientific testing?
That's a good question that may not necessarily apply to IT services, as the IT services hallway is available currently. GSA is working on the acquisition gateway to provide as much information as possible so that we can provide some sort of transparency to the procurements that are going on within the government. So if it's not included in the acquisition gateway currently, I would definitely say that we are adding additional categories, and that might be an offering in the near future.
Okay. Can you give a particular example or general scope of some agency projects that have used a GWAC?
Absolutely. Jana, would you like to?
Sure. A good way to look at that sort of thing yourself would be to look on that GWAC dashboard and pull a data feed of the particular GWAC you're interested in. But on the VETS GWAC, there's several IT help desk services tasks. There's some VISTA programming tasks. There's also computer training tasks. There's quite a bit of different types of tasks.
So anything really IT services such as integration, design, networking would fall within scope of this small business GWAC or our Alliant GWAC. We definitely encourage, if you have some questions, just to make sure that it's within scope. If you'd like us to, we would be happy to do a scope review, perform that for you at no cost or no obligation to the organization, where you can get a letter from our contracting officer saying, yes, we believe this is a good fit. It might be a good fit, but we do have some questions, or ultimately, this is not a good fit for the small business GWAC or our Alliant program, and we would then provide you that in a letter for your files.
So you provide like a list of comments or recommendations based on your scope review?
Definitely. It's a letter that comes back from our contracting officer saying, yes, we think this is a fit. No, we don't because of these concerns, and maybe we can discuss them further on a conference call.
Okay.
Or that we just don't see it as a good fit for the contract.
That's a great service.
Absolutely, and at no cost to the organization.
That's absolutely a great service. Okay, fantastic. So in the slides, you mentioned compliance monitoring via reporting. And so with those, is the type of reporting through ESRS, or is there a specific type of GWAC reporting that's, a different form that's for GWAC only? How does that work?
For the large business subcontracting plan, they do report through the ESRS.
Okay.
For the small business subcontracting, we have our own system. We call it CPRM, and the vendors report back each 6 months based on their contract year.
Okay.
So we can tell every 6 months how much subcontracting they're doing in that system that we manage ourselves.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. So although small businesses are not required to subcontract, when they do you then require them to provide the report in CPRM also?
They do the reporting in the
Yes.
CPRM, and then it makes the report based on their sales.
Okay.
So based on the amount of obligations and amount of work that's been done.
That's fantastic.
So they also have to include the DUNS number.
Okay.
So we can, if we want to, we can look up those different vendors.
Okay.
And it takes into account on a service disabled veteran-owned set aside, if the service disabled veteran-owned vendor they're using, then that's exempt. They can count that as their prime.
So is that information that a contracting officer can have to assist them with monitoring the limitations on subcontracting?
They could do that if they wanted to do it at the task order level, but they would have to contact us.
Okay, so they would contact the respective contracting officer. Because that's always been a big question amongst the OSTABU community from the acquisition personnel. How do we monitor limitation on subcontracting? And it sounds like GSA, your office specifically, has found the answer to the test question. So we all need to bombard the GWAC team because they have the answer to the test question. So it's fantastic. All right, so here's the question. Have you quantified the cost savings over traditional vehicles?
I guess the question might be, what's considered a traditional vehicle? Generally, when we talk about GSA schedules, which also provides IT services under IT Schedule 70, we're looking at the contractor's pricing as they provided it to us and comparing it before we make award to the proposals that we receive. So we're looking at very favorable customer pricing in this case, and you can always request additional discounts. So while we have ceiling pricing, that does not limit you to that ceiling price. We do have all of our pricing available on our website if you would like to take a look at that for the development of an IGCE. The pricing that we have available on our website is ceiling pricing and would be useful for you in comparison or in preparation of those types of documents.
Okay, fantastic. So here's a great question. Did you say that an 8A acceptance letter was not required?
That is correct. An 8A acceptance letter from SBA is not required when using the 8A Stars 2 GWAC. We did receive that at the master contract level, and that includes all task orders issued underneath the contract.
So that makes it more convenient and expeditious for the contracting officer. That's a great reason to use the GWAC.
Absolutely.
The GSA GWAC. So that's great. That's great. So just want to let everyone know there was a question about the survey, and we apologize for that, but that error has been resolved. So once you complete the survey, at the top portion of your screen, you'll receive the certificate. All right. So there is a question. Let's see. I want to make sure that I covered everything. And I think you've covered all of the questions. Let me see if there are any other questions. All right. And so let me just say, I haven't gotten any new questions yet. Let me just say, if you have any questions, this is a great opportunity. They've come all the way from Kansas, and I can tell you it's true because I'm looking at their suitcases. They've come all the way here just to provide you with this training, and how great it is that you don't have to go anywhere else to receive your delegation of procurement authority. You can do it through this training. So please, I'm sure that you've tried to use the GWAC or have considered and then had some questions about it. So this is a great opportunity for you to do that. So while they are developing their questions, ladies, is there anything else that you want to share that you can think of that you want to just make sure that's a foot stomper, or you want to make sure that they don't forget?
Well, I'd just like to mention that Health and Human Services has issued over 300 tasks on the GSA GWAC program for over $872 million. So definitely a commitment for your organization to help meet their small business goals through our Small Business GWAC program.
Okay, so now I have a pop quiz. And how much of that was small?
That is a very good question. I don't have the data on that in front of me. But we can find that out and share with your organization.
All right.
The data comes from our dashboard, so you can actually pull that directly.
And I have to tell you, I've used the dashboard. I think it's great. I think it's, because I'm one of those individuals that used to call GSA all the time and would ask them, the Osceola office specifically, well, how much have we spent? How much have we spent? So to see the dashboard is just, fantastic. So thank you all for that. But that's a great process improvement. So.
Absolutely. And if we take nothing away from this program other than the knowledge that this is for IT services and can help you meet those socioeconomic goals through our Small Business GWAC program.
And if they have an additional question that they can think of later, they could always send it to that SBGWAC email address that was listed in one of the slides.
Okay, fantastic. So here's a question. It says, actually it's a compliment. It says, great training. What is the biggest difference between the GSA GWAC compared to the NASA Soope GWAC?
The NASA Soope GWAC is, right now doesn't have a small business set-aside component to it. Also, it's more of a product-focused GWAC. It was awarded by NASA. They are also an executive agent assigned by OMB, but it's more of a product-focused GWAC, and you have to have products on every single task you do.
Okay, fantastic. So, thank you. That was great. Thank you very much. So, here's a comment. It says, thank you for doing so much of the advanced work of preparing the vehicles and providing guidance, estimates, and screening. All agencies can benefit. Hooray for collaborative efforts. I love that.
Thank you very much.
I love that. And that's the purpose of this training. So I'm getting a couple of comments regarding the survey. Do me a favor, please. If some are saying that the survey is no longer available, hit F5 on your laptop or your screen or refresh, and you should be okay. After you hit F5, guys, just shoot me back an email or shoot me a comment and let me know if you got in okay and you were able to get to your certificate. But hit everybody. This is your time. Hit refresh, and then I think you'll be all right. Okay, so ladies, let me see if there are any other questions. All right, so this is really fantastic. Here's one. What are the contract access fees, and are they negotiable? Oh, that's a great question.
Yes. So the contract access fee when accessing our GWACs is 0.75%. That is a set rate. And then, of course, on the Alliant and Alliant Small Business, there is a CAF cap for that particular size project. So there is a CAF cap. We can provide additional details if you'd like more information about that. But the contract access fee is set at 0.75%.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so I just have to say to my team, it says we're still having survey problems. Guys, hold on one second. I've got a tech team in the room. They heard your comments. They've rushed into the room to support us. So we're getting it resolved. Before we get off this webcast, we're going to have that resolved. Okay. So here's one question. Is the webcast survey only available after this webinar? It now states not available. Thanks for the training. So yes, the webcast survey will be available after the training, so you can definitely access it then. We'll make sure that you have it. And if push comes to shove, if it's not functioning by the time we end the webcast, we'll email everyone a link to it so that you can get your certificate. You don't have to worry about it, and we'll leave it open longer. So no worries. We'll make sure that everybody gets their certificate, okay? So you don't have to worry about that. All right, ladies, I just hate to let you go. I just want to make sure. I'm so excited about having all of this expertise at the table, so we definitely want to make sure. Okay, everybody, F5. All right. Hey, guys, thank you, and I'm certainly appreciative of everyone who's hitting F5. I truly am appreciative. We don't know what's going on, but we'll make sure that you get your certificate. So we'll send you a link. If it's not working now, we'll make sure you get the link to it, okay? To everyone who's registered for the class, you'll get it and you'll receive your certificate. And that's my promise. And if not, just send it to the GWAC email. And no, I'm kidding.
We'd still handle it for you.
All right,
That's where it needs to go.
fantastic, fantastic. So let me ask, and we didn't talk about this, but even though I know that you had a registration for the Delegation Authority Certificate, is it also possible that we send you the email listing of everyone who's registered?
It's something that they actually have to request themselves because
they do?
there
Okay.
are 2 certification buttons that they did indeed attend the training
Okay.
and that they are a warranted contracting officer.
Okay, fantastic.
Otherwise, we need to collect individual warrants, and that is a very complicated process. So
Okay, all right.
definitely encourage you to go to our website, gsa.gov/GWAC, following this training session, and click on Request My Delegation of Procurement Authority if you are a warranted contracting officer.
Okay, fantastic. And I have gotten some feedback. Everyone is telling me now that the survey is there and it is working and that you should be able to just complete it. And guys, it doesn't take long to do, just a few questions, and you will receive your certificate. I thank everybody for hanging in there and assisting us with that. I truly am appreciative. And everyone is saying great training, guys. Fantastic.
Well, appreciative. We enjoy the opportunity to come here and train with you and hopefully do this on a regular basis.
Absolutely. We look forward to having you all here. Are there any other questions, guys, before I let these experts in the GWAC go? I want to definitely give you an opportunity. They have provided you with their email address, so most certainly you can use that email address to ask them questions. But, you know, it's just such a great opportunity because to have them come this far from the Midwest to come all the way out here to provide the training, to me is just invaluable. All right, so here's the question. Will the contact information for all the trainers be available? So,
yes, we can definitely provide that to you. We did not have that on our generic slide on the last one, as we just provided our generic sbgwac@gsa.gov email address. We can definitely make sure that the information is shared throughout HHS.
okay, so now I do need you to know that there are others on the line as well from other agencies. And so do you want the questions to come to you individually, or do you prefer for them to go to the general mailbox so that anyone who's available can respond to the question?
Yeah, so our sbgwac@gsa.gov email address reaches all of us, and so we can disseminate the information from there and respond to you directly.
Fantastic. Can you repeat it again?
Sure. S as in Sam, B as in boy, GWAC@gsa.gov.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so it does not appear that we have any additional questions. I just want to say again to the GSA GWAC team, we are truly appreciative to have all of you here. I know how challenging it is to get around the country and specifically here for this event. And I just want you to know that we are truly, truly grateful. We're excited to have you here and to share this information with us. And to everyone who joined us today, just want to say thank you so much for joining us and just learning, participating, being actively engaged, being interactive. I'm truly grateful to have everyone here, and we look forward to the next acquisition training, and we look forward to having GSA come back. So thank you all.
Thank
you, everybody.